What's up, everybody? How's it going? Today we've got a super exciting video. I'm actually here with Luba. She's a popular YouTuber and she's going to be sharing some super interesting stuff about her life and her career in tech right now. So stick around. How's it going, Luba? I'm so happy to have you here.
It's great. I'm so great to finally meet you in person, Clemens. Excited for our conversation.
Yes, I've got many questions to ask you.
Should I be scared?
Nothing to be scared about. But so you have a very popular YouTube channel, for those of you who don't know, Life of Luba, where you basically what?
Check it out.
Talk about your life. Yes, go check it out. I'll put the link in the description below. You recently posted a really interesting video where you explained how you went from being a software engineer at Airbnb to a chief of staff there. That's just really cool. Can you start by telling us what is a chief of staff?
First, thank you. Second, yes, indeed, I was an engineer at the company for almost 3 years, and I was looking for a change that would get me more exposed to business opportunities, to really see how the business is run, how leaders are thinking, how decisions really are made. And ultimately what I do is I work with a general manager who's also an engineering leader for a big organization, and I help them out with whatever that is on their plate, essentially. So if it is right now 2020 planning, then I jump into that and help out with that from the strategy perspective, from the team coordination perspective. If it's a big project that needs to be managed and someone needs to own that and they don't have the bandwidth to do it, then I would be the one jumping in and doing that. So essentially it's a role where you kind of get to see what a senior leader in an organization does and what their mind is occupied with, and you get to work closely with them on helping elevate stuff take stuff off their plate, essentially. So it's really cool because I get to work on very different projects, get to see different parts of the company and how it operates, and I get to really wear different hats in those different opportunities. I find that breadth and exposure very exciting.
Right, it sounds super exciting. And it sounds like if you have those interests, it really sort of quenches that thirst for those interests, if that makes sense. So would you describe this role as more of a business role or perhaps more of a non-technical role or more of a technical role?
I would definitely say that it's less so on the technical side. However, I think because my specific organization where I work is very technical, I work on a platform team that has to do more with foundational infrastructural things. The fact that I have a technical background is very beneficial because when I work with engineers and when I work with people who are from that same pedigree that I had, I can just speak the same language and really understand what problems is it that they're facing.
But so then the next question that I think might come to mind for the audience is, in tech, you often see software engineers transition into either engineering management, which is still very closely tied to engineering, or product management. How does that differ from what you're doing? And why didn't you move to, say, PM, product management?
Or EM, I guess, in that sense.
Or engineering management.
Yeah, great questions. Some people ask me that even at work, why this role versus an EM or a PM. I would say EM. I love technology, and that's why I was a software engineer, and that's why I work in tech, essentially. But at the same time, I don't care about the deep technical implementation of things deeply enough to go down the route of managing a team from the technical perspective. Because as an EM, you can be a people manager, but more so you're more valuable if you still are more in the weeds on technical opinions and architecture and working closely with the team tech leads, I guess.
For sure, yeah.
And I just didn't see it as an exciting opportunity for myself. And also, if you look at the career ladder, usually at bigger companies, you need to be one, a senior engineer, and two, be a senior engineer for some time to transition into management. And I just didn't have it in me to focus on super technical problems for so long to finally transition into something that's still more on the in the weeds technical side. So I would say that's kind of my perspective on EM. PM, I think, is exciting and is an interesting role, and it's definitely a lot less on that deeply technical perspective. But at the same time, what I didn't find in a PM role for myself is that a PM still has very very strict lines of ownership and a fairly narrow focus, especially at a big company, of what is it that they're owning, a product surface area. Whereas in this role, I get really a lot of different flavors of problems, of things. I can apply a different skill set. Like I have one project right now where I get to flex and learn about PMing, but at the same time, I have another project that focuses more on a business strategy. So it really gives me the opportunity to see broad and try out different things.
Yeah, and it seems like coming from that engineering background, you're having this great opportunity to experience so many different flavors of a business.
Exactly. Ultimately, I'd love to run my own company.
Speaking of running your own company, I run my own company, Algo Expert. And if you're preparing for your coding interviews, check out Algo Expert, algoexpert.io, and use the promo code CLEM, C-L-E-M, for a discount on the platform.
And focusing narrowly is absolutely great. I think mastery is amazing and something that everyone should strive towards. Right. But at the same time, I know that I love learning, expanding my skill set, and I love picking into different things from different angles and perspectives, and this role really gives me that opportunity.
Yeah, and at the end of the day, if you are running your own business, you do have to wear so many different hats that breadth does help.
And actually wearing different hats is something that I find personally, one, exciting, and I tend to think that I'm good at. I'm very resourceful, and I get very energized by wearing different hats and context switching from wearing one hat to another. And I think I'm just well fit to this kind of broader role.
Right. Well, this is super exciting. Again, I think that this sounds like a great sort of career transition given your interests and goals. One last question that I want to ask you, I always like to ask this to people, is what do you think is the most challenging part of this job? What's been the thing that you've been wow, I never expected this, or maybe you did expect it, but you didn't expect how difficult it was going to be?
That's a very interesting question. I find that this is so well suited to my natural strengths that I don't find that many things particularly challenging, but there are definitely days, where some things are harder than others.
Right.
I would say managing really big pieces of product can be challenging because there are so many moving pieces, and just the ability to cohesively see a holistic picture and really have the gut and the intuition to understand the problems and also understand being able to look out for things on a bigger scale and bigger perspective is something that can be challenging, especially for an engineer who, as an engineer, you have your surface area and your fairly narrow focus, where you would think about one problem or one project, but you're still kind of in a bubble of your team and the surface area that your team owns. Whereas when you move up the ladder, even in engineering, you have to influence the organization. You have to think bigger, think broader, really think about business goals and really tie your vision to that. And because I've never been in that role, sometimes I find that challenging because it's a different skill that I need to develop, really thinking holistically and thinking bigger.
And it's certainly a lot harder than it seems, I think.
Yeah.
As on the outside, you tend to sometimes underestimate how difficult some of these kinds of roles can be.
Yeah, I agree. Yeah.
Well, super awesome stuff, Luba. I'm really excited to see where this takes you.
Yeah, me too.
And any last words that you want to share?
Last words. Well, I'm very passionate about understanding yourself and your motives and the things that you personally want to learn. So, for me in my journey, I studied chemical engineering. Then I realized that wasn't quite a thing that I wanted to pursue. I found it interesting to an extent that I moved to software. And, ultimately I knew that I wanted to see how the business is run, and I wanted to have a bigger picture of how decisions are being made, and I kind of created an opportunity for myself that relied on what I was interested in, that relied deeply on thinking, hey, what is it that motivates me and excites me? Is the thing that I'm doing right now still as exciting for me to learn as it was 2 years from now? So constantly checking in with yourself and not putting yourself into a box of hey, I'm studied to be a doctor and I'm going to be a doctor for the next 50 years and I can't move left or right, is something that I would love to advise everyone, just being retrospective on what motivates you.
And what I would add there is that software engineering is a perfect field for that. I think it lends itself so well to sort of mobility because it's such you have such powerful skills under your belt. But that's super cool, Luba. Thanks so much for sharing this story.
Thank you so much for having me, Clemens.
Yes, of course. We'll have to do this again.
Yes, definitely.
How cool was that? If you enjoyed the video, make sure to give it a like, smash that like button, don't forget to subscribe, and we made another video with Luba where we talk about me and my sort of interesting life facts. The video is on Luba's channel, and I'll put the link in the description and comments below.